So, Final Fantasy XIV launched its A Realm Reborn re-release in 2013, and since then, it's become one of the most successful MMOs on the market, launching 3 whole expansions since then. It looked like the game everyone should have. It had epic encounters, awesome mounts, and great character design. However, this game's been alive for 10 years, and a lot can happen in that amount of time. So, let's break down the pros and cons of this game for those who are wondering if this game's even worth buying anymore today. So, let's start by talking about the story. If you've never bothered to do any research about this game, then you should probably know that this game takes itself very seriously, but it's all with really good intention. The story of 14 is unparalleled when it comes to MMOs. Every arc feels like it's been tenderly taken care of, and you're not going to want to blaze through the story either. It truly is a work of art, even though sometimes the swap from voice acting to non-voice acting can become a little tiresome. However, this can be a double-edged sword for some. 14 requires you to progress through the main story as a part of its main scenario questline, and as a result, a large chunk of the content is locked behind progression through it. This includes stuff like dungeons, primals, and most raid bosses. Even with the most recent patch that helped to streamline the story progression in A Realm Reborn, you're still looking at least 47 hours of gameplay, and that's just to get you through the base game. If you intend on getting fully caught up, you're still going to have to progress through Heavensward and Stormblood to get to the current expansion. And the only alternative is a paid skip via the Mog Station. However, that's a factor we'll talk about as we get further in the video. So, next up, we got the gameplay. And as a quick disclaimer going into this, I'm not going to be talking about all of the different intricacies in the gameplay. We're just going to be talking about the overall feel and the presentation of the gameplay for newcomers. That being said, if this gameplay looks a little bit like WoW to you, I wouldn't blame you. At first glance, 14 can look like another WoW ripoff when it comes to gameplay. The tab target design for MMOs is something that has been done many times in the past by other games, but 14 manages to take on this formula while still managing to make it feel unique. One of the bigger things that it does to stand amidst the crowd is something that they call the weapon skill combos, which these are moves that are designed to be strung together to create the core of a rotation. It's indicated in-game by a yellow outline that tells you what the next move in your combo is, allowing you to be able to see where to go next. For a newcomer, this is monumental in learning how the MMO genre works for combat. You also have 18 classes to choose from, with one of them being very unique. And unless you're doing world first progression, any class is viable to play in endgame content. Speaking of, we can't talk about MMOs without talking about the endgame. Endgame in Final Fantasy XIV is designed around 8-man boss raids, and each fight is designed to push every individual player, forcing them to be able to handle mechanics effectively while also maintaining the uptime on the boss. After 3 expansions of raid content being released, 14 has never ceased to deliver on extremely difficult yet incredibly fulfilling encounters. We also have 24-man raids, which is a more casual type of raid content where you go and fight a large series of bosses in a single instance. All that being said, however, from all the people that I know that have tried this game, this is definitely a love it or hate it kind of gameplay. The big problem that plagues most MMOs with this style is in the early game. Before you have all of your cool abilities, you're going to be spamming the same couple of moves over and over as you level up, and this can become incredibly repetitive after several hours of doing so, without any real change in the formula. Also, in comparison to WoW again, 14 has slower pacing in terms of overall skill cooldowns, which can make that repetitive feeling even worse to some. Honestly, your biggest enemy while leveling is going to be your ability to resist that monotony that is pressing the same 3 buttons in the early levels. If you're new to the MMO genre and you've never played a tab target style like this, it's definitely worth a try. However, if you've been around the scene and you've tried WoW and you know that this is something that you're not a fan of, I can only say, for the most part, there's not much that differentiates here. It's a tab target MMO, plain and simple. And probably the only notable thing about it is I just want to show you this real quick. Pretty good. Am I right? If you were to ask me what was the point that I felt invested in seeing this game through to the end, it would have to be after watching this. Now, the game is not as gorgeous as the cinematic, but I would wager to say that this game has one of the best visuals I've ever seen in MMOs. And a big thing for me getting into this game was the sheer beauty of it. One minute you're traveling through the mysterious forest of the Black Shroud, and another moment you're at one of the various ports in Limsa Lominsa. Each zone has its own personality, and it's presented marvelously through the story. On top of that, this game's animations are crisp. Every class has its own visual flourish within each of their skill sets. You want to be a flippy boy that shoots guns? We got that. You want to be a magical turret that shoots fireballs? We got that. You want to be the biggest edgelord anime has ever seen? We got a whole station for that. Simply put, this game is a spectacle. I remember when I first got into this game simply being entranced by the beauty of its art style and the amazing locations. Well, that, and of course the music in this game is the best I've ever heard in my entire life. I'm gonna say this right now. If you haven't listened to the 14 soundtrack, you need to. This game's soundtrack slaps in every way imaginable. I would play it right here, but you know, YouTube copyright and all that. But regardless, every single area in this game has a theme. Every boss, every dungeon, every raid. There's a lot of music to this game. Even the generic battle themes, though they do get annoying, are still expertly crafted to highlight the intensity of the battle, even though sometimes you're just killing an innocent little cactuar. Its genre spam from the triumphant orchestra rising in the streets of Ul'dah to the rock and roll kind of teen angst in fighting Shiva to freaking bagpipes in Idleshire. You can't make this stuff up, y'all. The beauty of this is it gives everything an identity. No matter where you are, the game communicates the life of where you are through the music. And as you familiarize yourself with the locations and the lore of the world, you're going to begin to understand the musical choices and why they enhance the area so perfectly. Alright, gushing over the music over. I wish there was enough time to properly dissect each and every single song, but I can't. However, there is one last thing I want to go over with you guys, and it's kind of important. This is the Perhaps this isn't an issue for most people anymore in 2020, but it's something that I've wrestled with a million times during my time playing this game. 14 is a subscription-based MMO, with the base version of the game being around $20, and if you want to get the expansions, it's going to come to $60 right now. They both come with a 30-day sub to the game, but after that you're going to be paying at least $13 a month to keep playing this game. Then, there's also a couple of other serious considerations certain people will have if they want to get into the game faster and be later on. If you want to skip through the story, you're going to have to pay another fee to skip past expansions. But if your character's not the proper level into that expansion, unless you're planning on leveling up through it, you're going to have to pay another level skip in order to get there. Either way, this game can be a very huge money sink for somebody who's just getting in if your expectations are to get to the end extremely fast. And this can be dangerous if you don't even know if you're going to like it by the end of the week. However, with all that being said, Square Enix has created a phenomenal demo for anyone who wants to try this game risk-free. The demo version of 14 allows you to be able to play the entire base game of A Realm Reborn and Heavensward completely for free, giving you a large chunk of content to chew on while you contemplate your purchase. On top of that, you don't lose your character when you transfer to the full game. You can level up all the way to 60, buy the game, and have gotten a whole month's worth of the game for nothing at all. This is very good for those who may be hesitant on getting into the game, but they just don't want to make a purchase. So, overall, my verdict is, if you're looking for a new MMO to try this holiday season, think about 14. Its community has always been extremely helpful, and on top of that, if you're worried about making a purchase that you're not going to feel validated in, that demo is still enough content for you to sink in way more than 50 hours into. And if after playing the trial version of this game, you still love it and you want to purchase it, you don't even lose your character. Make a simple purchase of the game and your trial character carries over to the full version of the game. Alrighty guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, as we're going to be making more videos in the weeks to come. Till then, take care guys, see you next time.